Welcome to the channel. I just want to talk about some stuff that I've been noticing lately. How they say social media is like this terrible thing sometimes. And I agree. I agree. But the one topic that I actually know a lot about because I am an artist is that when we talk about AI replacing artists, I understand we take into account only what we're talking about here is like painters painters and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like the painters, the concept artists, the the portrait artists, the career artists, the concept artists, the doodlers, those people. But honestly, I've never really saw I never seen anybody talk about the bigger picture of what art really is, because there's a reason that art there's different versions of art. There is like making a new character, like just playing D and like for people who either just play D&D, they actively are creating their own world. They're mentally creating a piece of art that could be a story. Speaking of stories, we got writers, which, yes, I understand that's also in the category of painters in this conversation. But we also have martial artists, chefs. You can't replace chefs. Well, you can, but honestly, you really can't, because what makes these things so um amazing in the eye of a human being is that it was made by a human. Especially cooking. Like, you can tell a lot about certain people, especially chefs, based on how they cook, how they prepare things, how they do this, how they do that. And it's like, yeah, anyone can be a chef, anyone can be a artist technically, but like, to be those things, you also have to know at least a little bit of what you're doing. Even if it is easy, in quotations, to become those things. And those who give up too early tend to spite those who have the skills or went through the training or have the knowledge to go about becoming those things. I know for a fact this is a true because I myself, when I was first trying to get into I'm still at that process of like trying to figure out how these manga, how the person who wrote Diary of a Wimpy Kid made stick people so entertaining to read, because that's how I write my comics. I don't use these drawings that you see on my page in my YouTube. I don't use that stuff because I don't know how to read. Because I have my artist flaw is I cannot redraw when I can't redraw something once I've drawn it. So the only thing I can redraw is stick men with clothes and hair and hope that it's entertaining for people to read. And when it comes to storytelling, this whole AI nonsense saying how some people say it can beat out some of the best. It can't, because the fun fact is that it still needs to be fed content that has already been made, right? But I know that's something a lot of people have already said. So I'm not going to harp on that part because it's not necessary to do that. But it's like the whole Ghibli art style situation. I don't know if it's still happening. I don't know if people still care about it, but like the only reason it could draw like that is because it was fed something similar or using material from Ghibli art style. So, and sometimes that's not even the case because I mean, if you see my art style, it's simplistic, it's childish, it's just downright easy to copy if you know what you're doing properly, to be honest. But my concern, I'll throw in a concern here, is that the world will start not the world, but as in people who believe that these things can replace human intention in like everyday art, gaining some form of like, momentum with this claim. I know this don't sound like the biggest deal in the world because obviously not many people care about it, but as an artist, I understand that we don't always deal with the best of people, and some people do want to downgrade what we do, which I totally understand if that's the type of person that person is. I mean, heck, I know somebody who works in like at an office desk, and I know for a fact they told me most people that before they learned what they actually do thought they just sat at a desk all day. No, they actually move around. They actually have to get up, move around, and do a whole bunch of stuff to get something done. Like something, a piece of a sheet they need to finish their work might be across the room. They actually have to go over there and actively go and get it themselves. But back to the other thing I was talking about. Because I ramble a lot. I don't want to get off topic today. So it's like when we talk about the word art in a generalization of painters and stuff like that, I feel like some people forget martial arts, cooking is an art, and stuff that only humans can do unless robots and AIs gain bodies that can do these things, not and without human help. Without human help whatsoever. They have to do this without human help for this to make sense. Like they can get up, learn recipes, and trial and error that thing 100% on their own. I don't see those things, those parts of art going anywhere anytime soon. Hope I'm making sense if I'm being honest. But Yeah, it's just like art is so broad that that's why I'll advocate and say this again in this video. AI cannot completely replace art because humans have this way of, even if one thing is taken away, they somehow find a way to innovate so fast and beat this thing, because no matter what you do in this world, there will always be a better way, someone better than you at it, or something along those lines. And that's a good thing. Like, it's kind of like businesses. Competition is necessary to improve. If you don't have competition, you can't improve, or some will decide not to improve. And once you get in the mindset of not improving, that's when you get stuck. And that's where a lot of people who try their best to learn art and then give up because they can't grasp it enough, that the act of doing art isn't doing the art. No, it's having the imagination to see past normalcy and make up your own conclusions and make up your own stories and characters. Without an imagination, you don't have, what's the best way to put it? You don't have the spark. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong. Especially those who try to get into art as adults, but they weren't in an environment where their imagination was honed. When I say that, I mean people like who come from homes that just downright downplayed they never had like a real childhood where they could, realistically be a kid, to that, if that makes sense. And some people do come from those homes, but the world beats them down so much, telling them, be realistic, get a job, which is honestly very good advice. Very good advice, because even as someone who wants to become a freelancer, I know I'm gonna still need a job to keep the built lights on at the end of the day. Because yeah, it's true. This stuff don't make you money unless you become super successful, which is the good 5% of artists. You aren't gonna make money. You really aren't. Now, unless you get into like cons and like communities and stuff like that. But when you independent, or you just do it to do it, and you say, hey, I want to make this into a business thing. And if you really do want to make real money from this art stuff, be prepared to give up any will of your own on your own pieces. Because this art world will drain you, more like your clients will drain you of every bit of creativity you had, because you don't have you lose agency over what you want, what's in your pieces at that point. You just do what the customer says. But then you lose time to make your own innovations and improve on your own time. And that's not a good thing when that happens. I know I'm everywhere right now, but like I'm trying to. There is a point to this, but the main point here is this. If I'm being totally honest with you, you never know what your limits are until you try to surpass something. That is what this is what I say. AI cannot be art in general. In general. That's what I'm getting to here. Out of all that talking, that's what I'm getting to. Because no matter what art that exists, there's going to be a new form of art. And they're going to catch up with that. And then they're going to catch up with a new form of art and a new form of art. Do you know how many versions of martial arts there is in the world? It is straight up impossible to absorb all that stuff in a day for a human being. And imagine having to program a robot with limbs that can move as free as a human's without breaking. Every limb in its body. I mean, heck, humans break limbs trying to learn the stuff. Imagine a robot made by someone, a human being, trying to move like a human with robotic limbs that have limitations. But on the other end, AI can still stick around in this era without trying to replace human beings. Like, I like to have a little positive spin to everything I say, you know? Because it's not that bad as it's put out to be. It's just how we use it, you know? Sorry. How we use it. Yeah, we can use it for inspiration, but don't use it to create art. You can take the art that it produces and then make it into something greater. If you know what I mean. Don't take it at face value. Take it and say, "Hey, I'm going to use this idea that the computer pumped out and make my own version of it. And if it's based off something that already exists, therefore now you have two references of which you can pull from." I can get rid of this one. Yeah. But yeah, that's my whole thing. Like, I'm very confused about I'm confused, but I get the topic around AI art because, like I said, as an artist, I'll also say this: AI art irritates me. Even if you use it as a reference, as much as I say you can, it'll still piss me off no matter what, because you use the computer to generate information that your brain can generate just by, looking at an image and saying, "Hey, that looks interesting. Why don't I make my own version of it?" You know? But imagination isn't even just about art, man. It's about the principle of self-expression. Some of the most iconic books, the most iconic things These things that we say are masterpieces now, we wouldn't have those things if we didn't have people who went out there and went by their gut and said, "Hey, I want to make something cool today." And they made something cool that everyone in today's age loves. But it took them walking out there and, well, not walking, but mentally walking out there and saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this thing today. Now, I don't care what people say about it." My last point here is soft people. This might sound bad, but like, the other thing is inferiority, feeling inferior to something that isn't that, yeah, it's stealing jobs, obviously. But sooner or later, that bubble is going to pop. It already has, in a way. If you've noticed on anyone who's reporting on the actual news that the news doesn't want to talk about, all this stuff that we are afraid of, or some are afraid of, or quitting because of, always had in their minds they weren't good enough. I say that because if you know you're better than the thing that's trying to replace you, you won't be as afraid to confront it when that time comes, you know? Personally, I'm not. I would actually want to be in an art competition with 1,000 AIs. I'm pretty sure I would lose because it's the big, big, beautiful thing right now. And AI bros, NFT bros, and Internet 3 type people are floating around everywhere, bringing everyone down, saying, "Hey, we know a program that can do better than you." I've heard this before in my comment section. Not this comment section. I'm talking about like back before this whole thing was even like bad. It had nothing to do with AI. It was just back when I was younger. Back when I first started posting my stuff on Instagram, and then later on like really getting into getting into the YouTube thing. Like, you guys don't know, but I actually used to have art videos from like back then, 2017, 2018. But there was this one person. I had low self-esteem back then, so this story makes a lot more sense in that context. So I was just casually just being my crazy self and saying, "Hey, I'm just going to post something about this and write a story about it, and not write a story, mentally write a story and like show off my pieces." On one of those videos, which is what made me take them down, there was like four or five of them. But they called my art ugly. For some reason, that made me really hate my art for a short time. I mean, like 1 week or 2 weeks. Then I realized that that person was very irrelevant. But like, words like that hurt the weak people. And that's why I say the way I said it. Weak people, not weekend people. Weak people. People who who have always been weak from the start. And take opinions like it's a fact, even though they should have their own opinions. We also have these people. I hate to use this word because, like, I really don't like the generalization of it. But we call these people, well, I don't know if we still use the term Karens, but like people who didn't feel safe around or just needed to have a problem with somebody. Their whole goal that day was to mess up somebody else's life, and their biggest targets had to be someone they saw as someone who wouldn't retaliate, which most of the time always worked because the other person took the bait. Once you take that bait, it's it's fascinating. It really is fascinating how fast you change. Yeah, it is. It's just very fascinating how people go from confident and knowing they're the best they ever been to, oh crap, this person ratioed me online. Now it's time for me to get pissed off and or get depressed about something that a stranger said to me. It ain't worth it. Trust, it ain't worth it, man. Yeah, it's, but in a world, I say everything I've said up to this point is you can apply what I've said to a lot of different things. If I'm being honest, because I mean, at least I've noticed it. A lot of these robots, computers, AIs are messing up. I mean, I hate to bring up the whole Security Act thing, but I'll make it short. Because I'm not trying to I don't really get involved in all that. But these AIs are easy to fool. Of course, I don't ever do that type of stuff. I don't really know how to, I'm not really techie. I'm a handcraft type dude, so I just look this stuff up whenever I need to, whenever I don't feel, whenever I feel it's unjust. But these age securities, all this age security stuff, it don't work half most of the time. It really doesn't. Plus, kids are smart. Kids are way too, we adults that don't think kids aren't smart really need a adjustment mentally, because like kids are very smart. In fact, they are incredibly smart. Like when I was growing up, I acknowledge that I wasn't the smartest person. I mean, have you saw my grades? I was kind of not the smartest in that sense, but I kind of made up for it with my ability to learn on the fly when it came to hands-on things. But yeah, like kids are smart, like very smart, especially the kids nowadays that grew up instead of watching kids shows and going outside a lot and spending time with their families, and I'm pretty sure they do these things. But most kids grew up on tablets nowadays and cocoa melons and all these wonderful terminologies that even as someone in my 20s, I still don't understand. Because I'm just saying, like all even the terms that like all these fancy terms for normal everyday things, like just words that was created in my generation, in this generation. I don't understand them. I don't even use them. Like sigma male, alpha males, beta males. Like I didn't even know. I thought you were just male. So that was my thought process. Even growing up, like I was like, there's more than one. There is more ways to be male. I thought you were just a male dude doing male things, and that's it. You know, like then there's like the Bay stuff. Now I understand that. I understand Bay. I've even before that became the replacement for not significant other, but girlfriend. I learned that name from learned that word from Babe the Pig from the book from that I forget the name of the book. And on top of that, technology smarts has replaced their ability to read. And I'm not saying these kids are dumb. No. No. And all I'm saying is I can read a lot. And that's saying something. Because, like, trust you me, I can read. You would not have heard me say that a while back. You really wouldn't have. If anything, you would have heard me say, why do I have to read? I don't want to look at this book anymore. I still am that way, just less. I'll read a manga or two, but other than that, no, not really. That's funny to say because I'm actually a writer too. Of course, you don't really hear me talk about how hear me talk about the fact that I write stories, but I do in fact write stories. I don't just create characters, I write full-on stories. Of course, they never get published or I never put them out there for people to see. I'm way too myself to put myself in the spotlight like that, personally. I'll let those who want to get their book out there in the world out there. I just do it for me, just to say, hey, I did something today. But yeah. But anyway, back to the whole. But now that ends the whole safety act thing, because I'm just saying kids are smart. If you want to protect children, let them go outside. Let them be kids. Make the world for kids again. Bring back cartoons. Dog, bring back the the Bakugans. Bring back the OG the Pokemons. Like not any, no, bring back the Yu-Gi-Ohs, that's what I mean. Bring back Yu-Gi-Oh. Bring that, I'm talking about the anime. Like they shouldn't have stopped making the anime series because there was people who was kind of grappling on to Rush Duel. And as much as I don't like Rush Duel, man, I don't like Rush Duel. there was people who loved that series enough to say, hey, we want racial representation in America. Sadly, that will not happen in a very long time because commercially, that flopped hard. I do feel bad for those people who wanted it in America, though. Because a few sets that were released in America did not sell well. So, from a business standpoint, I can understand why they didn't go through with it. And like bring back OG SpongeBob, not this new stuff. I'm sorry. This new age old cartoons are kind of like have the same funniness slash entertainment level of all these reboots and remakes. They might not be reboots and remakes, but new seasons, but they don't hit the same. If that's the best way to put it, they don't hit the same. I've seen some stuff from new SpongeBob and old SpongeBob, and I know I would not been able to sit through that, honestly. I mean, Simpsons is the same, but that's more of an adult show unless you really like The Simpsons. Because, I mean, I watched The Simpsons when I was, I don't know how old actually. But, yeah, I don't really know how long. All I know is I started watching horror movies at the age of, at the age of, at the age of 10 or 9. I think that's when I started watching horror movies. For me, that stuff was funny. Like, not like like, obviously I watched it with parental guidance, obviously. I grew up in a household where as long as you didn't do it the TV, everything the TV did, you could watch what you wanted as long as you weren't influenced by the stuff on the screen. That's the best way to put it. Kind of like these kids. And that's why I brought up in the whole Safety Act part, why I brought up kids on being raised on this technology. They're raised to only do what they've seen, and if they only see the Coco Melons, the simplified content, not that life-changing, hey kids, you want to learn your ABCs type content, just straight up that type of content. And I know we have that out there, but it's represented by stuff like Coco Melon. And I'm sorry to say, I don't know if there's people who like Bluey, but like in my comment in my crew, in my little group of people who watch my stuff, but stuff like Bluey, and it does not teach the most valuable of lessons. I mean, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood wasn't far off to me. I actually kind of like that show. Of course, being a hyper energetic kid my whole life, I'm still I'm still passively into the stuff I was into as a kid. I just don't purchase any of that stuff anymore. It's not necessary. I stopped collecting cards several years, like when, like 4, 5, 6 years ago. Like, I stopped collecting trading cards at during that time. I've I don't really watch much. I only watch like old stuff. Old cartoons I used to watch as a kid every now and then, just to reminisce on my childhood whenever I can find it. And stuff like that. I don't really like delve into it. Like, I'll even watch a Power Rangers opening. I look at the Power Rangers openings every now and then just because I can, you know? But yeah, these kids don't have they don't have like the entertainment we had. Now I might sound like, oh, these kids these days type person, but that's not the case right now. I'm talking in general. These kids don't have the things that we had. Sorry. But yeah, they don't have what we had. I grew up. I was born. I'll tell you the year I was born, not the month and day. But I was born in 2001, around the time of the 9/11. Legitimately, I was born around that time. Like, I'll estimate very close to the day that I was very put into this world. I as a baby, I experienced the 9/11. So I don't know what happened that day. I was just filled in by my mom that I was a baby at the time the 9/11 happened. So historically, I'm actually older type beat. So that's why I say I might sound like these kids didn't grow up what we had type deal, but it's true. The kids actually had something back then. That's the best way to put it. We had something that was filled with education on the mind and stuff like that. We had the life lessons. We had the Bernstein Bears teaching us life lessons. For me, I had the Wildcrats, my boy. Oh, my bro. When you see my X-Hero project, I think this there specifically for those characters. I'm gonna show you their pre. That's the one I'm gonna actually show you like what drawings it came from, because those two are inspired by my goats, the Wildcrat brothers, bro. I love those dudes. I love animals because of that show. That show really awakened me into loving animals, even more than I already did at the time. And if you want to know my favorite animal, it is the cheetah. Yes, the cheetah. One of the fastest animals on the planet and my all-time favorite animal of all time. But yeah, they don't have what we had because the world is not revolved around kids anymore, especially government wise. In fact, they're trying to use kids against use the existence of kids against adults to censor them, which is stupid to me. But bygones be bygones. Let that war not involve me. I don't want to get involved in it. But yeah, that's basically what's been on my mind lately. I just really wanted to talk about where my mindset has been, because I've had so much on my head lately about the state of the world. There's a lot more, but it involves me talking about governments and censorship and my beliefs on certain things, and I really don't want to get involved in those conversations. So I'm just going to keep that to myself, because I know those topics can get real hairy, and I don't want to have any piece of the pie in that. This is the part where I talk about Epic Sevens I guess because I want to keep this video going. I'm just really enjoying talking, honestly. Hopefully, someone gets to this point. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm gonna talk about why I even got into art, honestly, because this goes into the whole childhood thing. I grew up on the classics that everyone talks about. I grew up on the WB Kids, the Four Kids. I grew up on the Cartoon Network and Nickelodeons. But what really got me into art is Pokemon. Pokemon and its weird monster creations. My art style is actually based off Pokemon's, but then I took a few years to really develop my art style as a youngin to really differentiate myself from Pokemon. Then I started getting into human design. Learning I can't draw humans, I said, why don't I learn to draw creatures like werewolves and stuff? That didn't work out either because I'm not really inept to draw deep designs that most people like to look at. But I can draw from my imagination, and my imagination tends to be the more childish side of me that I keep in my adulthood. So I decided, you know what? Judgments aside, I don't care if people don't know get my age don't match my art style. I'm just gonna keep drawing this way, and the way I draw now is literally just how I drew back then. I never improved anything. Well, I kind of did, but it's such a small improvement. You barely see it. You know, you barely see it. Trust you barely see it. I did not improve as much as other artists normally do. I just insist on staying where I am. Because I'm comfortable here, you know? I'm comfortable where I'm sitting. I really am comfortable where I am. I'm like, I understand that there's people out there who just seek improvement in everything they do. And I congratulate those people. I do not have the heart to do that type of stuff. I'm sorry, I can't, man. Like that is so much. There's so much involved in that. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm opting out. I'm not even getting involved in that type of stuff. Like trying to keep trying to keep improving every day of your life on something like art only works you if you're built for it. You have to be realistic sometimes. You really have to be realistic. Not everything you do is going to be great or beautiful. And if I lose these fights, this is what I'm. This is. I'll tell people right now. If you get to this part of the video, this is me just getting my doing my daily arena stuff. Or I lose almost every fight because I'm in the higher ranks now, and I never ever get past the higher ranks because I suck at every competitive game. But yeah, I'll tell anyone all day. Ignore what people say about you. Unless you know them personally, or you can advocate and say, "Hey, this person taught me this thing," and stuff like that. Because not everyone is here to benefit you. It's just a fact. I know it. You know it. We all know it. And if you don't know it, study up, my friend. You will learn how much people aren't here to be a positive force for you because they will tell you straight up how much they don't like you, about how they do things. It's kind of like when you sit in the corner and be like, I'm not bothering nobody. I'm not going to do nothing wrong today. And then all of a sudden, somebody come over and say, hey, man, I want to start problems with you. And then proceeds to like start shoving you and, the typical bully stuff. And this actually aligns with what I was saying, what I say about being baited into actions that you would rather not take. This also goes with online arguments. Trolls exist, but I do understand there's a lot of people who really mean what they say nowadays because a butthurt your opinion doesn't align with theirs. Been there, done that too. It's very not fun to deal with, but once you deal with it, it's basically over. You no longer have to deal with that person at all. And that's the best feeling in the world. Because once you hear their piece, you can either continue the argument, take the troll, or just be nice about it and be like, okay, cool. But I do understand there's times when the trolling can become too much. And that's very true. The internet will internet, but that doesn't mean the internet has to internet. Now, what I mean by that is the internet should be a safe place for people, but it isn't. Sadly. I'm almost done with Epic Dash Pass. Awesome. Took me some time. Cool. Oh my. Okay, that's a lot of pulls right there. Okay, I got you. Thank you, game. But yeah, the internet is gone to internet, and we really can't do anything about that at this point in this world. It's beyond my human comprehension, at least. Why the internet is the way it is. Because you would think that we would be past this by now. Don't mind my sets. I just throw things on characters and just say and call it a day. Sorry, I'm quiet. I'm trying to find something something real quick. Some character, I mean, something. Where is it? Where is she? But yeah, that was my TED talk of everything that's been on my head lately about and me just being absurd and stupid, honestly. But yeah. Okay, cool. Found it. That's where she went. Finish that set. Now to end off this video with some pulls. Because I did not expect that I would get pulls. I'm gonna be honest with you. Next, you want to pull from this one. Got a few pulls, huh? Okay, let's go. Nah, skip. Oh, shoot. Nothing good. Nothing good. Trying to get a unit I want. Nothing good. Yeah. There's really nothing there. Anyway. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Actually, you know what? We gonna get those the last 50. We gonna get the last 50. I don't want to just go in the video like that. You know, I don't want to end the video like that, you know. Actually, I am. Well, that's it. Have yourselves a wonderful day. I will see you all later. Peace for now, today.